Like the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies for 30-ish minutes. My name, Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. the Critic's Choice. With me, as always, the people's champ, Tim Keck.
If you feel it, chase it, baby.
If you feel it, chase it. And today, we're talking about The Winter Soldier, the Captain America movie that everybody unanimously agreed was a significant step up from the first Captain America movie.
It's really good, Kevin. You know what else is really good is I went antiquing recently and I found this old board game that I wanted to show you.
What is
it's called A Question of Scruples, the game of moral dilemmas. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's Hasbro. Oh no, it's Parker Brothers from 1999. And they just have a box. It's just full of stacks of cards with questions on it. And the questions are supposed to be moral dilemmas. And the game is something like you ask a question, the moral dilemma, then the other person says yes or no. And then you kind of have to guess how they're going to respond.
Wow. Interesting.
So this is the game. I thought maybe we could go through a couple of cards. Kevin, again, a reminder, this is a game from 1999, and these are moral dilemmas that you're supposed to have a tricky time deciphering, okay?
All right, let me put myself in the headspace. The economy is thriving. The middle class of America is vibrant.
Yes. 1999. These are complicated issues. Okay, I just grabbed a couple from the stack.
Yeah,
I'm gonna run by you, Kevin. Your daughter is a high school junior and a terrific softball player. She could be eligible for a college scholarship. Her grades have slipped lately because of her team commitment. Question: do you pull her from the team?
Oh boy. Now, here's a question. Do you want me to answer this as though I too am in the year 1999, or do you want me to answer this as though it's happening right now?
As it right now, well, you know, we're modern people, modern men in a modern time. I think we can approach these like how any rational person today would approach these.
Okay, cool. So Juan Soto just signed like a $700 million deal with the Mets. She's staying on the fucking team. Are you kidding me? If anybody took a look at how much kids are getting signed to play for the MLB, and I know that women's baseball is not popping off yet, but it's coming, man. Like, look at how much the WNBA is taking off now that Caitlin Clark has joined and the media had something to kind of rally behind. I mean, look, we can address all the problems with that later. There's a lot of intersectional nastiness to get into with the fact that Caitlin Clark is what ended up making the WNBA take off. But that's not our focus right now. Our focus right now is why my daughter needs to be cutting every other thing in her life so that she can be the best goddamn softball player she can be.
You're right. Softball is a Caitlin Clark with a big bat away from really popping off.
Dude, it's nuts. It's wild to watch. A friend of mine in high school was like a phenomenal, like state ranked softball pitcher. The like wind up pitch that they do in softball is crazy. There's a ton of fun with like that softball player in Jackass Forever who was like lobbing the thing.
Yes.
Aaron's nuts. Like there's a lot of fun to be had with softball. Untapped market. They throw it hard. They throw it hard. Also, it says she could be eligible for a college scholarship. It sounds like the scholarship is for softball, not her grades. So why are we cutting time from the thing that could get her the scholarship to focus on something that so far doesn't have any scholarship potential? 100% agree. Because you know what? Nobody wants to talk about this either right now, but if you're going to college for any kind of a white collar field, AI is about to eat your lunch. You know what ChatGPT can't do is that fucking cool wind up pitch. Boston Dynamics can probably make it happen soon, but right now in the immediate future, it's still around.
Okay, Kevin, a couple more.
Hit me.
You find out that your 21-year-old daughter is dancing at an upscale topless bar near her college. She is very happy and makes close to $1,000 a night. Do you tell her to stop?
Sex work is work, Tim. Fuck no. She's making more money than this is an unbelievable amount of money. You know, my only concern would be that this place is upscale enough that it has bouncers that would absolutely fuck up any kind of a guy that gets out of line in that crowd. I want to make sure there's like good cameras. I just want to make sure, you know, the parking lot's safe. I want to make sure the infrastructure of this place is set up to protect her from predators to the extent that it can be. That way she can just go in there, go to work and get that money.
I agree. I agree. It says it's an upscale topless bar. This is a nice one. You know, sex work is work, but there are always bad jobs. OK, if she's at a shit bar across the street making $100 a night, I might be like, hey, honey, you could get more walking dogs for like an hour a day. You know, put your shirt back on and just study. I'll spot you $300 a week so that you can cover your expenses or whatever. But upscale bar near college, it goes to say she's very happy and she's making $1,000 a night. Are you kidding me?
That would be, you know what? That's the biggest question, though. Is she happy? Is this something that she's that's the number one thing? Like at the end of the day,
she's very happy.
You know what? It says on the card she's very happy.
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
She is very happy and makes close to $1,000 a night. Do you tell her to stop? Again, this is from 1999. So there's maybe some different worldviews going on here, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because like at the end of the day, as a parent in this situation, it's not our call. She's an adult. Like this is something where like I don't like the presumption that this card has that we get to make that choice unequivocally for her. That's her call. I mean, that's the number one thing here. In the first example, it's a little different because in that she's a high schooler. So it's like I'm assuming that she's still like living under your house. I mean,
she's a junior.
To a certain extent, she's a junior. Like that's still going to impact her future. Like at the end of the day, I still think that kind of, it falls in the gray area where she's old enough that like that should probably be her decision, just like it should be a kid's decision where they want to go to school. But in this example, where she is a fully grown adult, we don't get to say. If she's asking, we can tell, but otherwise we don't get to weigh in on that.
I also think, you know, the internet is forever. You can't just go into a strip club and start taking photos, right? If you are mega hot and you want to make a bunch of money, go strip for a while and then just move to a different town and it'll be like you never stripped.
I mean, yeah, like, yeah, I think that's true in 1999, just as it is today. I want to hear, let's do one more of these, but I want to hear your take first. I don't want to weigh in first. I want your take first on the next one.
On mine?
Yeah.
Well, this one is I think maybe one of the ones I saw that was like, I have to buy this because if this is again from 1999, this is supposed to be a moral dilemma. Okay, Kevin, your teenager and his/her best friend seem to be becoming more than friends. They are the same sex. Do you intervene?
Oh my, intervene, Jesus.
That's what the card says.
Jesus
Bradley
Christ.
Hasbro, 1999. It's like, are you homophobic? That's just what the card says. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Okay, so then this will be the real last one. Well, actually, we've spent a lot of time on this probably.
It's interesting that card almost accidentally acknowledges the existence of non-binary folk, like, you know, way in 1999, way before people were talking about it. It's like it could be mistaken as a clumsy late 90s attempt. That's kind of a fun and intentional thing there. But yeah, what's the next one you got?
Okay, last one. You discover that a little brandy makes the baby stop crying and go to sleep. Baby is driving you crazy. Do you give her a nip?
Oh my God. Which Brandy song are we talking about? My answer is put that vinyl on and let it play.
Okay, so Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Dude, this is great. I think I'm gonna start springing these on you sporadically.
I love these.
I think they're really
Put them
good.
in the middle of a random conversation.
Yeah, just middle of a conversation. I'll pull a card.
I'll have a foghorn sound effect that comes out. That means it's time for Scruples. We're about to get unscrupulous.
Let's get scrupulous. Unscrupulous. God, it's so fun.
My rule going forward is if there is like a parenting question like that, we have to discuss it as two dads in like a 3-minute a baby type situation.
We're co-parenting a child that's not ours.
Absolutely co-parenting a child. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Wait, is 3 Men and a Baby, is one of them the biological father?
You know what? I don't think I've ever seen the movie. The only thing I've ever seen about it is that rumor about a ghost being in the background.
Yeah, it is. So the premise is just that without a mom around, it would take at least 3 men.
Tim,
and even then,
I don't disagree.
A wild ride.
I don't disagree. I think weaponized incompetence has left men in this country in a depleted state. I think that's the kind of thing that the fucking Jordan Petersons and Andrew Tates of this world aren't willing to talk about. Is they're coming out here with all these dog shit arguments about how men need to be strong. You know how men need to be strong is to fucking try a little bit. Just have a little bit of self-awareness and just fucking start trying.
I mean, a daddy daycare situation, I get maybe a little bit because
a ton of kids.
You're outnumbered. It's like 10 to 1 kids. So you're a teacher with no prior education in education. You're over your head.
I mean, if we want to dive into the state of education in this country, that is a lot of the people that I know.
All right, let's get the pod going. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Kevin.
Yeah.
In anticipation of a Brave New World coming out, where the Falcon, Anthony Mackie, is the new Captain America. Do you think this movie is his debut? Do you think Anthony Mackie is the best choice to be Captain America?
100%. Like, no question. 100%. I know they did Bucky first in the comics. The last thing that we need right now is a clumsy analogy about how somebody who has been subjected to Russian mind control has been handed a massive American mantle. Like, truly the absolute last thing we need in this country. Sam Wilson is a phenomenal character. I think about his introduction in this movie in the first like 5 minutes of this movie, and I think largely in the first like 90 seconds, they make you love this guy. Like, his introduction in this movie is one of the best examples I've seen of introducing a new character and not just having the audience know who they are, but also love them. So I've been waiting for this since then. I've been ready for it. This dude has been an awesome guy the entire time, and I'm ready. I'm ready to see that. What I'm let down by is all the other fucking shenanigans and hijinks that are going on in the MCU that I feel like are going to weigh down the solo movie that Sam deserves and I think isn't really truly going to get.
I hope this ends up being a Sam solo movie and like really focusing on him. I think he's phenomenal. I think you made the best argument for him being Captain America. Really, we've got him and Bucky as the options. I think physically, Bucky makes a lot of sense, and he has a very close bond with Steve Rogers. Maybe he knows him best. You know, maybe they have the strongest bond. They're family. They grew up together. That's hard to compete with. But he has a checkered past. He's done things, some impeachable things. Anthony Mackie is just like a good dude. He's just solid the whole time. He volunteers at the VA. He did 2 tours of duty. He's always a great hang. He just gels with Captain America, and he's on the run. He's on the run from the government, and he's like, I mean, I can't be on the wrong side from Captain America. Captain America needs my help. Hell yeah, I'm here. Right. Yeah. He's just like a ride or die from the jump. And they open the movie. Now they open a lot of movies with the villain, which I don't think is always the worst move. If you're going to get into a whole character thing, we want to see the villain. We want to see what's going on. They open this movie with him on the track saying on your left. And immediately we like Anthony Mackie. Captain America is a guy we like. We've seen him in 2 movies already. We're in on Captain America. And now we found a guy that Captain America really likes. And Captain America is busting his balls. Captain America is talking shit to him, which is so funny because he's like a pretty straight-laced, boring guy, Captain America. But he is like, oh yeah, well, running, if you can call that running. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're a super soldier. You're chemically enhanced. Of course you ran 30 miles in 30 minutes. Like, you are on another level, and you're just making fun of this guy who's like former soldier who's trying the best he can. But it's so fun and it's so playful, and they are immediately like negging each other like boys, and it's great. I love him so much. And I got so pumped when this movie ends and it's like, we're looking for Bucky and you don't have to come with me. And the Falcon's like, I know. When do we start? And that's the last line in the movie. Is the Falcon saying, I got your back. I'm with you. We're doing this together.
And you know what's cool, dude? When he first approaches Captain America in the beginning of this movie, it's not like oh, you're Captain America. Like, I gotta meet. It's not like a networking thing. It's not a fulfillment of any kind of a dream. It's because he's working with veterans who have been through traumatic situations, and he recognizes that that is probably a situation that Steve is in. He is trying to help Steve. That's awesome. Like, really help him, not help him in like a very superficial way. He's trying to really psychologically help this guy who is probably going through some trauma. It's very, very cool. It's genuinely heroic. We've talked a little bit about the difference between like, you know, superheroes. Like, hero is the back half of that word. And most of the time, what you see superheroes doing in a movie is using physical violence to stop somebody else who is using physical violence, which can be heroic, but usually it's also in response to a problem that they themselves caused. So it's not necessarily heroic in the same sense that like sometimes sitting down and talking to someone and connecting with them would be the heroic thing to do. That moment in the beginning, when Sam, a person who can help, is confronted with a superhero that needs help, that might actually be the first moment of superheroism in the MCU.
Damn, fire take, dude. I love that. I mean,
cut that for TikTok.
He is also, you know, he makes the joke like, maybe you could swing by the VA sometime and make me look good in front of the hot girl at the desk or whatever it is. And it's like, it's a joke, but he's not inviting him out to a beer. He's saying, hey, you could come by the VA where I do therapy with these guys. And we talk about this stuff because it'd be cool for Captain America to be there and they would like it. It is a selfish thing, but it's also a pretty generous thing. He's not asking Captain America to sign some shit. He's saying, I would love it if you came by. It would make me look cool, yada, yada. But I'd love it if you came out and hung out with my guys and said hi to the boys. They'd love it.
You know what? In Infinity War or in Endgame, after the 5-year jump, what's Cap doing? He's sitting down. He's leading a talk therapy group for people.
It is interesting. I think Bucky is kind of like the origin of Captain America, whereas Anthony Mackie kind of becomes the guy that Cap wants to be. Right. With like helping people, and they're connecting today. It's like the difference between, you know, that friend you went to high school with and then you move to a new city and then you find some people you really gel with. Like it's like that kind of thing.
I dig that. I can see that. That's very cool. And, you know, it's interesting. You bring up how this movie ends with the when do we start? And it really does make me sad thinking back. It's been now coming up on 11 years since this movie came out. And in that 11-year span, which is crazy to think about, right? In that 11-year span, we never just got a chill Captain America team movie with like Anthony Mackie, Sharon Carter, Black Widow, like you always said that you wanted. It was right there, just like a simple espionage thriller. They're going around Europe. They're looking for Bucky. And it's just a super grounded, like spy thriller. We never got it.
Yeah, I think they could have done a whole like road trip movie, or like a whole like buddy cop, like them going off and chilling. And I think that's kind of what they tried to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
Which was all right. I didn't love it, but I mean, I think I did enjoy the moments where they're just hanging out more than a lot of people. You know,
Oh,
they're
for
fixing
sure.
a boat. It's like the boat's dumb. Why are they here? Why are they fixing this boat? Who can't he just buy a new boat? Doesn't he? Isn't he like, he doesn't have any Tony Stark money lying around? It's like this guy. We just need to see the boys being boys. I like seeing the guys hang. And my favorite moment with Anthony Mackie and Bucky and Cap is when in Civil War, when they go to pick up the stuff and he's picking it up from Sharon Carter and they kiss and then he turns around and the guys are nodding at him.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And it's like, I would love a movie full of that. This is a classic Marvel tease where they give you a taste of something that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
And then they take it away. But like, I wanted more of that. And we didn't really get it until Cap was out of the picture completely.
And now it'd be great if somebody someday would pick up that mantle and do some like, interstitial stories. Those are usually big misses when people do that, when they do like a comic adaptation, because the theory is if this character growth that we see over the course of this story arc is important enough, we would have seen it in the movies. And it's tough to kind of like sneak character growth in between moments of character growth that we did see in the movies. I do think it's possible. It would be wonderful to see somebody pick that up and do like a story arc that takes place that's like a, globe hopping adventure that's just spiced up with that small team.
What if I was thinking about this more because we've talked about the TV shows a lot and like what they should be doing with this. And, I enjoyed Agatha All Along recently, and it feels like the least Marvel thing. I mean, there's no superheroes in it. It's just magic. And it's like this other world going on. What if they just did like one shots where it's like an hour, a low budget hour, and the Falcon and Winter Soldier are like going on a road trip for some reason. And they beat up some criminals. They do like a little thing. They just go on like a little like 3 comic book arc. Like, would that be fun? I guess I'm wondering if we would enjoy just hanging out with these guys as much as I think we would, or do we like those moments because they are far and few between?
I think we would enjoy it for the same reason that we enjoy any kind of relationship with sitcom characters on TV. Like, and maybe that's the thing too, is that there don't need to be these major moments of growth if we are just telling relatively inconsequential stories where people hang out. If you've got good characters, they're good characters no matter where you take them. We're on season 95 of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's just fun to be with these people, no matter what permutation you put them in. So I think they've done enough work so that the people who are fans of these characters know what their things are. They know what makes them work. It's part of the reason that Thunderbolts looks so fun, is because it is this combination of some characters that we haven't seen mash up with each other yet. So I think it would totally work. I think you're onto something there.
I was wondering about that, if we could just hang out with these people and just watch them gel in like a lower stakes environment. All the movies now have to build up to the end of the world or something crazy, end of the world thing. And there are comics where it's just like a guy covered in question marks robs a bank. And you get to stop him and look cool. And, there's one shots where it's like, I don't know, Batman's like telling a kid a story or something like that. Or I'm thinking of really all the Batman ones, but there's a famous Batman cartoon where the villains are sitting around a table and they're all telling stories about their encounter with the Batman and how they killed the Batman.
Yeah.
And that's iconic. And it's like, I don't know, could they do that? Could they do something like that with Captain America? What if they just had the gang? What if it was just like the gang, like an Age of Ultron, like all hanging out in the tower and they're just telling stories and then we like see the story and like, like something like that would be so fun.
I want to see that. So it'd be kind of cool. I mean, there's been a billion takes on Rashomon, but it would be kind of cool to see like an Avengers universe take on Rashomon where we see in the first Avengers movie when they're fighting all the Chitauri all over New York City, we see what each of them is doing, but they didn't see that. So they would have had to, whether it was at the shawarma restaurant or otherwise, they would have had to fill each other in on that. So that would be a really fun way to approach it, is if there is this really big like battle that happens and then they're walking each other through like, oh, that's why you crashed through the wall at that one point, because here's what it looked like from my perspective.
Yeah, that could be a TV show where it's like, and then it's like you like Hawkeye's doing something, and then Thor comes like crashing through a wall, and then they like freeze it, and they're like, whoa, 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 how'd you get through the wall? And then they're like telling the story, and other stuff's happening in the background. Like they could just get more creative as opposed to more expensive, you know. And I think
that's what they should have done when they talked about Budapest with Nat and Clint. They like say all this stuff about Budapest. That would be such a fun way to do it, is have each one of them walk through like their thing and have it be a very grounded thing.
Man, I think it'd be fun. I think like the Werewolf by Night is like a good, and like the Guardians like Christmas special. I think those are like awesome. Like they're really chill. And the Guardians one, like the stakes are really low. Like there's not like a big bad in that. It's just, you know, a thing. Even the Werewolf by Night, it's like there isn't like a necessarily like a big bad. The universe isn't going to end. You're just spending a nice hour with somebody. And I loved it. I loved both of those. I thought they were really good times.
They're so good. And you don't need it to be that crazy huge. I mean, look at like Spider-Man Homecoming. All the things that he does in Homecoming are very small scale things, but it's awesome to see him do them because he's Spider-Man. Like him stopping the ATM robbery in the beginning. Awesome scene. Super, super cool. It's three guys with guns in an ATM.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you need. Him chasing the truck through the streets. The truck's getting away and he can't swing because he's in the middle of a park. Great. In Hawkeye, the show, when it's just Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh fighting each other in an office building. That's great. It's just two characters in an office building. That's so cheap. It doesn't need to be the end of the fucking world. And to take it back to Winter Soldier, because we barely talked about that movie specifically, that is one of the things that I think resonates with people. Is this is, relatively speaking, it's a spy thriller. It's more about like the overtaking of one government organization than it is necessarily the end of the world. They end up with the helicarrier promising this police state that would be a really bad thing. But in general, it's mostly a who do you trust story, which I think really, really plays.
Yeah, I guess there is a big bad maybe in Bucky, but then it is like kind of an espionage thing. And this really is, rewatching it, like this movie's tight. It moves fast. You don't know what's going on half the time.
No,
you don't know who to trust. You're like, can we trust Black Widow? Can we trust Nick Fury? Can we trust the guy at the top of S.H.I.E.L.D.? You know? There's like Robert Redford just like shows up, is in the house one day, and then Bucky's just there. And you're like, oh, my God, he's going to be killed. Oh, wait, he works for him. Like there's so many good moments like that. And this one really, truly would work without Captain America. You could take superheroes out of this and make it Jason Bourne or Mission Impossible, and it would work. If you're trying to get people into superhero movies, I think this is an awesome, awesome gateway into superhero movies and the MCU, because it's just a guy who throws a shield and then cool gadgets and espionage. And it's really, really very grounded. Which again, they do a great job of like grounding these things. After seeing Captain America in the Avengers fighting aliens, it's cool to bring it back to like a street level, like government espionage thing and fighting Hydra, and you don't know who to trust. And it's like it's really phenomenal.
It rules. It is funny how the stuff that he's doing isn't that far from what we're used to seeing Jason Bourne, James Bond do. Like even John Wick, the fact that they just explain like, oh yeah, he's got a suit jacket that blocks bullets. It's like, now you just get to have him get shot all the time and it doesn't matter. We're so used to seeing this shit that maybe Captain America punches a little bit harder, but in general, it's not that far from a Bourne movie.
No, I mean, they do. I have now spent more time with more distance on some of this stuff. And it's like, I do have to remind myself that these are comic books, and that it's okay for them to be comic books, and that it all doesn't need to make 100% of sense, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't make logical sense that Thanos could punch Captain America in the face and he would survive. But you know what happens in the comic books? Captain America gets punched in the face by these guys and survives, right? Like, because they're comic book characters and they're just trying to tell the best story. And like, maybe we don't need to be so focused on like the logistical specifics of like all these limitations with his powers. I mean, the shield makes zero sense at all, but it's very fun and it feels grounded and they treat it in a serious way. And it just kind of works.
Out of the elevator and
the elevator jump is so cool.
I mean, the elevator scene, obviously iconic too, but like that elevator jump and slamming, and there's no way his entire body was tucked behind that shield. But man.
Well, then he takes the three of them and like they all hop on the shield and it does this thing. But we've seen.
Oh, that's right. When they skid out of the car
with like Black Panther, you know, the uniform absorbs all this kinetic energy. So you'd think if he leads with the shield, it's going to absorb a ton of impact. And the shield can kind of do all this stuff. Like it kind of makes sense that he could jump out of this and disperse it enough with the shield. I mean, I think a normal person's dead, but he is also he's superhuman and he can do it. And they've kind of established the shield is this powerful and he uses it. He uses the shield so much in this constantly. And it's like, oh, this is an incredibly useful tool. He is constantly using it to cover Black Widow, cover Falcon, cover Black Widow, to like whip at people. I mean, it just feels like, yeah, of course. Why? Yeah, I'm picking a weapon to fight somebody. Why wouldn't I pick the shield? This is a no-brainer. What do you think of Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, Sam Wilson not being a super soldier?
Ew, man, it on a practical level, it does make things harder because it makes it a lot harder to sell a lot of the shit that Steve gets away with.
Yeah.
You know, on a symbolic level, it's kind of like your Batman versus Superman situation where like it's a lot cooler that Batman's just a normal guy who worked really hard. That's an analogy I've given before with like the two ways to succeed in something. You can either be Superman or Batman. You can either just be born with the innate talent and resources to be able to accomplish this thing, or you can work really, really, really fucking hard at it. Now, again, in that example, Batman is a trust fund kid who's extremely rich, so he does have resources. That in that one movie, it's like, what's your superpower? He's rich. It really kind of is a superpower for him. But still, in general, I like the idea that Sam got to where he is because he worked really hard. In the scenes that we see in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus show, I like that we saw a lot of him training with pads on trees, throwing the shield around. This did not come naturally to him. So every single like piece of this, he's had to earn in spite of what everybody else, like Steve, have just kind of been giving it away.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think maybe that's the critique of like a Captain Marvel. I mean, we've talked about Captain Marvel a lot and maybe how people aren't receptive to them and how, you know, they're introducing characters like Ironheart where it's just like there's no like
struggle.
Where's the struggle? So like Captain America was a scrawny guy. He got this serum and he's still like a guy and he still has to do all this stuff. Iron Man had to build all these things. And through the movie's progression, we see him fail with the things he's built and then succeed and then overcome those things again. We see him learn and adapt. Even Thor is born into it. Thor is a god. But what does his weapon do? His weapon literally says that he has to be worthy in order to wield it. And he has to struggle to overcome to be worthy of that hammer. And that's our introduction to him, is that he was born with this power. He was not worthy of it. And now he's fighting to be worthy of it again. The Hulk has to constantly struggle against this and like hold back his rage and learn how to do it. He's got a whole psychological trauma going on. You know, Hawkeye and Black Widow have like these dark pasts. They have things that they need to protect. And they're also just humans at the end of the day. Like that is a very compelling group of people that all have experiences and you know, crutches that have shaped them and that obstacles that they've had to overcome. And it makes compelling superheroes. Yeah. So Anthony Mackie, I guess, has some of that going for him. It seems like he's just like a good dude. He's like the ride or die for this. I guess they're going to do some Wakanda tech with him to make him formidable or something. Maybe assume that he's got to have something in his armor, or he's got to have something so that he can do stuff.
It's the wings. The wing kit is from Wakanda.
Yeah.
For Falcon Winter Soldier, he gets that at the very end.
So hopefully he can. He's got enough tools to stand toe to toe with whoever he's fighting in the new movie. So we have a couple heroes that have had trilogies, right? Mm-hmm. Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Ant-Man. Am I missing anybody? Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man. I guess. But of those four guys or solo character movies, does Captain America have the best trilogy?
I think so. I think still. Iron Man 3 is a little weird just because of how, I mean, it's weird in continuity. I like it in isolation, and I stand Iron Man 2. I still ride for the fact that movie's underrated, but it's nowhere near as compelling as the arc that you see in Captain America. It's really neat.
I think even Thor, we have Ragnarok is held up as like one of the best Marvel movies. We have, Winter Soldier held up as one of the best. I mean, Civil War, I think, is also considered one of the best, which is maybe a cop out because it's like an Avengers movie, but it's Captain America. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's an unfair advantage. But we don't ever hear Iron Man 2 or 3 brought up.
No,
the best movie conversation, Iron Man got a
Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming, great.
Spider-Man 2,
Home, great. Or No Way Home, great. Far From Home, I'm a little iffy on.
Oof. Spider-Man might, from a pure pleasure standpoint, Spider-Man might be number one for me. But if you're trying to convince somebody to get into Marvel or like hold them up to like judgment, like Captain America is like, those are probably the best movies, even though Spider-Man's real good. I forgot about Spider-Man, man. Now I'm excited about Spider-Man. When are we getting another Spider-Man movie?
I think 2026. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Man, any final thoughts on this? What, one last thing. What's your favorite action moment in this movie, and why is it Bucky ripping that guy out of the car?
That is so cool. It's awesome to see. I like when he just rips the door off. I like when he catches the shield. That's awesome. And then there's a point when he throws the shield and Captain America dodges it, and the shield's like embedded in the car behind him. There's so many cool movies, cool scenes like that. I mean, the elevator is iconic. I mean, do you have another favorite that you want to call out?
No, I mean, that one's so good. It's got to be that. It's got to be that moment. It came out of nowhere. It's a great moment. It's
one of the last badass. One of the last badass Nick Fury moments too.
I know. Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye, and then we all see how that went.
That's so fun. I laughed so hard when I heard that.
They gotta retcon that. Listener, what did you think? What do you think of Sam being the new Captain America? Let us know. Send us an email, nerdy430@gmail.com. We will be back here again next week. Thank you so much for listening. Until we see you then, stay nerdy, everybody.
Stay nerdy.
Bye.
Bye.